Hello everyone, thanks for joining me back on Stole Meets Steel. Well, as you probably have noticed, some of you anyways had reached out and say, hey John, how come you haven't made any videos in a while? So, I just wanted to take a little bit of a break. I had some personal stuff going on that I needed to sort out, and I just had a lot going on. And you know what, more importantly, there kind of honestly wasn't too much in the shaving world that had really kind of piqued my interest in a little while until something by Parker had come out. And as most of the viewers of my channel know, I really love aluminum razors. And when I first saw this, the newest offering by them, it really jumped out at me because, as most people that are in the razor market know, that that handle definitely looks like a razor we all know as the Tatara. And I thought it was a really classy, sleek, look that they went for. I really like the form factor. And a couple of things that jumped out to me right away. This is the RazorRock Lupo aluminum. The head shape from this particular angle was very similar. But when you look at them from this particular angle, there are some similarities there, but honestly, not a ton from that particular angle. Goodfellas Smile is also offered by Super Safety Razors, who is Parker's importer here. And to me, the Goodfellas, this is the Stiletto, this is the version 1. And from this particular angle, I see a lot more similarities there to the Goodfellas Smile Stiletto V1. And so, it also has kind of similar specs. The Stiletto is 0.55 gap, whereas the Parker is 0.59 millimeter blade gap, and it has a 0.015 exposure. They offer it in two different flavors. Handle wise is the same pattern and same style, but they offer it, this one is the shorty, or the classic as they call it. It's a 3.3 length handle, 3.6 overall, and it's 39 grams in this config. If you bump to the longer handle, which is a 3.8 inch handle, I think it's a little just shy of a little over 4 inch overall. That one's like 42 grams, but the same handle design. I do like shorter handles. I have like a large size hand glove wise, so if you have a big set of hands, I would say maybe go for the longer handle, the 3.8 inch handle. What I personally like about aluminum razors is I find the anodizing offers kind of a skin stretching to it, and I find I get really great shaves with them. I really like a mild razor that I can use a sharp blade in, and that's what that's one of my particular favorite razor categories, is that mild razor that you can shave every day with. And I find that combo of the lightweight of the aluminum and the anodization creates a good skin stretch for me, and I just get really good irritation-free shaves. I didn't shave the other day, so this is every other day growth that I've got going on here. For me, I've used this razor quite a few times. I'm really enjoying it. And for me, like I said, I like a sharp blade in it. And of the ones that I've tried so far, these are my absolute favorite in this particular razor. It does come with a pack of the Parkers. One thing that jumped out to me right away with this particular razor is I really like the shipping box, or the form factor that they ship in. And it's got this really cool kind of tweed pattern to the box. And I just thought, for the money, for the $65 kind of entry level into the aluminum razor market, I thought it was a nice presentation box, whereas if you were to gift it to somebody, I thought that it makes a really nice presentation. And I just thought I should note that, because to me, it stood out right away. There are other razors come in just like a cheap round cardboard box, and most razors honestly come in a cheap box, which is fine for us collectors. You don't really care, honestly, or at least I don't. But if you want to gift it to somebody, this kind of does have a nice presentation to it, especially at the price point. So I thought I would point that out. So again, the Wizamets are my favorite blade. I've also tried feathers in it, perma sharps, the Parker blades that it comes with. I like, for me, the sharpest blades, and the Gillette Silver Blue is another one that I tried. The feathers were super smooth, but irritated me a little bit after. So for me, the Wizamet was the best balance of a great shave and just overall good experience. No nicks or anything else. For today's soap, I've got Holy Cows Enchanted, and Enchant rather, and it's a really good sophisticated cherry scent. Let me get lathered up here in a second. Brush is a homemade one by me. This is a sweet super figured maple wood, and it's got a Sinbad knot in it. Let's get going. All right, everybody, I'm all lathered up, and I just wanted to mention I'm always transparent in all my videos, but I spoke to Howie at Super Safety Razors, and they were awesome enough to send this Parker razor to me. I'm always just out front and honest with everybody. I just wanted to throw that out so somebody didn't say, oh, you know, hey, did you buy that razor or not? So no, it was sent to me by them, which I really appreciate. And that was kind of one of the reasons that I'm even making this video, is because they were gracious enough to send me the razor, and I was impressed by it. As most of you have seen or haven't seen, I've pretty much used almost every aluminum razor out there. I've used the Overlander, the Bison, the Stiletto, the Syntesi Velvet, the Wolfman Gorilla, the Apex by Aylesworth in aluminum, the Lupo aluminum, I have the Ollie-Works in aluminum also, the adjustable. I've used the SB90, I have the Alpha Shave Dad. I also have the Alpha Lone Star plate for my Shave Dad. For me, this particular razor, some of the attributes that I've definitely noticed and enjoy about it is I like a low blade feel razor personally. I shave pretty much every day, every other day. And for the most part, I prefer a lower blade feel razor because it irritates my sensitive neckline much less. I don't mind using the other ones, but my neckline just doesn't seem to agree with them. So this is kind of my personal Goldilocks category of razors. The lower gaps, lower blade positive exposure that you can put a sharp blade in. And I seem to get some of my best shaves with that particular combination. Awesome first pass. Felt very smooth there. Minimal tugging, even with the extra day's growth for me. I pretty much normally shave every day. Super smooth right there. That's kind of a tougher spot on my neck that gets irritated easily. And it just plows right through it effortlessly, easily. And right here on my Adam's apple, there's not many razors that I feel safe going over the Adam's apple. Normally, if you watch my videos, you'll know that I will pull it off to each side to do that area. So when you see me go over it with a razor, that's when you know it's a forgiving razor. I do honestly do it out of habit now because I just do it so much. But I kind of wanted to just showcase there that this is a really forgiving razor. While it does have positive exposure, it's barely positive, and it has more of a neutral feel to it, honestly. Blade feel wise, it's very, very smooth and easy, forgiving daily shaver. And yeah, I wanted to put it through its paces. I did a review of the Razor Rock Goat Razor, I think it was, where I did a first impression, and I just had that epic blade pairing. And I prefer to do a couple of shaves with razors before I do any videos. So yeah, for me, the favorite blade in it for sure is the Wizomet. I get great shaves with any of the blades, but I just find that I need that little bit of extra sharpness. This is a mild razor, gentlemen. All right, let's go across the grain here. My face. What I found impressive with this razor is I have a couple of hard spots to get right here and this lower part of my chin. I usually have to go over those quite a bit with certain razors, especially with this mild category of razors. And some razors, just depends on how sadistic with the BBS chasing I want to get that particular day. But sometimes I find that the really mild class of razors just don't cut it in that particular area. I either need to grab another razor to do cleanup or just keep it at a damn fine shave and not really worry about that particular spot not getting perfectly BBS. But I find that this Parker has the efficiency that I'm looking for. All right, very nice across the grain. All right, against the grain, last pass. Very, very thin, narrow profile. No extended blade tabs there to get under the nose. I still do pig nose off camera just because there's little spots that's a little bit hard for me to get with literally any razor. But for the average person, this has a very, very thin profile to it and would suffice nicely to go under the nose and whatnot. Heiko would be very nicely impressed with how they've rounded the corners there. That's a big thing for him. He likes the rounded corners instead of sharp 90-degree corners on razors. So yeah, I thought the form factor was very nice. Smooth flowing shape to it. All right, let me get rinsed up and I'll be right back. Go over some final thoughts of the razor. All right, everyone, I'm back. Thanks for hanging around. So what do I think of the new Parker Aeroshave? Well, I have to say, the reason I made this video is because, you know, they were gracious enough to send this to me, but I was really, really impressed with this razor. I truly am. I've used it, like I said, pretty much every aluminum razor that I could get my paws on, and this was one of the ones that really, really fits into that Goldilocks category for me personally. And what I mean by that, again, is this is a mild razor, and Howie at Super Safety Razors did say that from the get-go. He's like, hey, look, just so you know, this thing's more mild than our other offerings. And I said, I know, that's what I really wanted to try it out. And you know, I do shave daily, but I do have thick, coarse, dense hair, and I find for me to tame it, it works best if I shave daily or every other day, you know, on the weekends if I get busy or whatnot. Sometimes I'll skip a day. But I find that the mild razor category with a forgiving configuration like this, with a sharp blade, that's perfect for me. And this particular one really stands out, and what stands out for to me is the smooth factor. You know, off the top of my head, if we're just gonna go off of blade gap, there's only a few razors that I would really want to compare it to as far as just blade gap wise, but I'll compare it to others if you want. You know, the Stiletto is one, if I remember, has a 0.55 gap. The Lupo Aluminum by Razor Rock has a 0.58 gap. I do have the Wolfman Gorilla in a 0.54, so those are all very comparable. But as far as just shave experience, forget about gaps and measurements and everything else. The only razor that I've really tried in aluminum that really I feel is as smooth and forgiving and easy to shave and efficient as this Parker Aeroshave would be the Overlander in the aluminum, or maybe the Goodfellas Smile, the Syntesi in the velvet configuration, or another one that comes to mind would be the Colonial CR7, the 2-plate. That would probably be pretty comparable, but this thing really knocks it out of the park. There's not many razors in that category that have this low blade feel but still pack as much efficiency as this, and that's what really impressed me with the Parker. I did pick, he did offer the shorter or the longer handle, and I do like a shorter handle, but since it doesn't have a radio knob on the bottom, it does have a matte, like a bead blasted or anodized matte style finish to it. I think the little bit longer one would make it a little bit easier to hold on to. So I would say, again, go with the little bit longer one. But if you like a mild, low blade feel daily driver razor, you're really going to like this one. If you want something that's more blade feel, more like my Guido razor, or on a Rockwell 6S scale of like a 5 or a 6, this is probably going to be too mild for you. You're going to want something a little more aggressive. Go with more like a Parker variant or something like that. So that's my 2 cents on it. I'm really impressed with this one. If you like a daily driver razor, you're really going to like it. Other things of note is check out my Etsy store. I'll put up the link, but it's basically stubblemeetssteel.etsy.com. I got a bunch of brushes that I'm going to be putting out, and then I'm also doing one last run, I think, of the Guido with Steve at Alpha Shaving, and we're going to do it in copper. And I think there's still a few left, so I'll put the link in the info section there if you want to grab a copper Guido. Check one of those out, and I'll have a bunch more brushes in like the next couple of days on my Etsy store, so check those out. But thanks for joining me, and thanks again, Howie at Parker, for sending me the awesome razor. Good to be back, and I hope to make a couple more videos soon. Talk to you soon.